Hard floors are beautiful and practical, but when you add in barking dogs and rambunctious kids, they can lead to a lot of echo. And I don't know about you, but it totally drives me crazy. So before we get into my tips, I wanted to talk a little bit about what is soundproofing versus sound conditioning. Soundproofing is when you want to keep noise inside a room or keep noise outside a room. For example, you might want to keep out some busy city street noise that's outside of your home. Or you might want to keep the sound of your kid's garage band inside your garage. Either of those would be considered soundproofing, where you're trying to stop the sound from going into a room or stop sound from going out of a room. What I'm talking about here is called sound conditioning or sound treatment, which is really talking about making the sound in a room just better and more pleasant. It's not about stopping the sound from getting in or out of the room. Sound conditioning is mostly about reducing echoes. So let's talk about how an echo works. You have a sound going towards a flat surface, and then the echo is when that sound comes straight back at you. Echoes are at their worst when you have two flat surfaces parallel to each other, because then you have that sound just bouncing back and forth between the walls. I'm sure you've experienced that in an empty conference room. There's two different ways that you can reduce echo in a room. The first is to absorb the sound. When you have that sound going towards an upholstered chair, the chair will just suck up some of that sound and a whole lot less will come back at you. The other option for reducing echo is to diffuse the sound. So when you have a big sound going towards a bookshelf with lots of different items on it, that sound is still going to bounce off, but it's going to bounce off in lots of different little directions, and it reduces the echo. So let's get into the tips on how to reduce echoes in your home. The first step is choose window coverings strategically. Windows are one of the worst things for echoes because it's a big flat piece of hard glass. So any sort of window covering is going to help reduce the echo in the home, but choosing strategically can make a big difference. For example, if you're looking at shades or blinds, you're much better off if you choose a softer covering, such as a pleated shade or a Roman shade, as opposed to a harder covering like blinds made out of metal or wood. Curtains are awesome for absorbing the sound, and if you're going to add curtains, choose the softest and fluffiest ones you can find. And of course, if you have a soft shade plus curtains, even better. The next tip is to add as many soft and absorbent things to the room as possible. So you want to look at upholstered furniture, things like decorative pillows. In the kitchen, you could add soft chair pads to your chairs. Just think about where you can add soft things around the room. My next tip is to add rugs. And I do have a separate video that's talking about my favorite places to get area rugs on a budget. And I just want to let you know that I am a mom on a budget, and all I do here on this channel is give you tips on how to save time and money. So if you like this kind of thing, I really hope you'll consider subscribing. So when you're looking at rugs, think about the larger area rugs, but also smaller rugs. Like you can add a nice cushioned rug in front of your kitchen sink. You can add bathroom rugs or smaller rugs by your entryway. Just think about where it might make sense to add rugs around your house. And keep in mind that softer and fluffier is always better. Next tip is to choose your wall hangings carefully. Now, any kind of wall hangings is better than not having any at all, but some are much better than others. If you add a picture with a glass covering on it, that glass is actually just as bad as having a bare wall. So you want to look at things that are softer or three-dimensional. So softer things might include tapestries, or I have this wall hanging that I love that's actually made out of feathers. And anytime you can add three-dimensional wall hangings, that's going to help diffuse the sound and send it off in different directions, even if it is made out of a harder material. My next tip is to add plants to the room. I actually have a separate video about the best places to find cheap plants, and I love having real plants around my house. But if you're not somebody with a green thumb, it is okay to get fake plants too. They help with diffusing the sound just as well as the real plants. My last tip is to add a bookcase or any kind of wall shelving, and just add a variety of different items to it. If they are harder surfaced items, you'll still help with that diffusing of sound. But think about adding shelving and bookcases to non-traditional places. Like, it's okay to add a bookshelf in your kitchen if your kitchen is where you're having the echo problems. I hope you got some good tips out of this video. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.